Admiral Vrixtar arrived on a Tuesday morning without warning. The station crew scrambled to prepare. Commander Velshaw looked panicked. The Admiral was famous throughout the Galactic Fleet. 200 years of service, 50 campaigns. A warrior from a species that valued strength above all else. He was not someone you wanted to disappoint. Day was in the training bay with Squadron 9 when the alarm sounded. All personnel to stations. Inspection in progress. Stay calm, Day told the Cubs. Continue your exercises. We have done nothing wrong. But his heart was racing. He knew Gralnak had filed his report. He knew the Admiral was here to judge whether Day's methods were acceptable, whether Squadron 9 should be allowed to continue as they were. The Cubs tried to focus on their training, but Day could see their nervousness. Paula's empathy made her shake slightly. Kerr's scales darkened. Even the usually playful Kalen twins were quiet. An hour later, Commander Velshaw entered the training bay. Behind her walked Admiral Vrixtar. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, covered in thick armor-like skin. His species, the Thronir, were apex predators on their homeworld. His eyes were dark and calculating. His uniform carried so many medals and honors that it must have weighed 10 kilograms. Behind him walked Instructor Gralnak, looking satisfied. Continue your training, Velshaw said quickly. The Admiral is observing. Day nodded. He turned to Squadron 9. Okay, team. Let us run through Formation Drill 7. The Cubs moved into position, but Day could see the fear in them. They were stiff, nervous. This was not how they usually moved. For 30 minutes, the Admiral watched in silence. He saw the Cubs work through their drills. They performed adequately, but not excellently. The pressure was affecting them. Then the Admiral spoke. His voice was deep like thunder. Stop. Everyone froze. Vrixtar walked into the center of the training bay. Commander Velshaw, I have read Instructor Gralnak's report. He says this human has corrupted standard training protocols, that he teaches emotions instead of discipline, that he makes these Cubs weak. Velshaw looked at Day nervously. Sir, the results have been positive. Squadron 9's test scores have improved significantly. Test scores mean nothing in real combat. The Admiral walked around the Cubs, examining them. I see Cubs who are comfortable. Too comfortable. Where is the edge? Where is the hunger to prove themselves? Day felt anger rising in his chest. He stepped forward. Admiral, with respect, they are children. They need stability before they can have hunger. Vrixtar turned to face him. You are the human. The maintenance worker turned instructor. Cultural liaison, sir. And you think you understand military training better than officers with decades of experience? No, sir. But I understand people. And these Cubs are people before they are soldiers. Gralnak stepped forward. You see, Admiral? This is exactly what I reported. Human softness, human emotions. It has no place in military training. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. His dark eyes moved from Day to the Cubs and back again. Then he said something that made Day's blood run cold. I will test your methods, human, right now. Squadron 9 will participate in a live training simulation, one designed for senior cadets, not Cubs. If your emotional training has prepared them adequately, they will pass. If not, you will be removed from this station and these Cubs will be assigned to proper instructors. Sir, that is not fair, Velshaw protested. Senior cadet simulations are meant for students twice their age. The galaxy is not fair, Commander. Combat is not fair. If this human's methods work, the Cubs should be able to adapt. Day looked at Squadron 9. They looked terrified. This was exactly what Gralnak wanted. To see them fail publicly, to prove that Day's methods were worthless. Admiral, Day said carefully, will you give us 10 minutes to prepare? 5 minutes, not a second more. The Admiral, Commander, and Gralnak walked to the observation room. Day immediately gathered Squadron 9 into their circle formation. Listen to me, he said quietly but firmly. This simulation will be hard. Harder than anything you have done. But you have trained for this. You are ready. We are scared, Paula whispered. Being scared is okay. Fear means you understand the danger. That is good. But do not let fear control you. Remember what we practiced. Stay together. Communicate. Trust your pack. Kerr's scales were almost black now. What if we fail? What if they separate us? Day put his hand on Kerr's shoulder. Then we fail together, but I do not think you will fail. Do you know why? Why? Because you are not alone. You have 11 battle buddies with you. And you have me. I believe in you. All of you. Throom spoke slowly. Leave. No one. Behind. Leave no one behind. The other cubs repeated. Yix and Yox, the twins, grinned suddenly. If we pass this, Instructor Grelnak will look foolish. That is a bonus, Dai admitted with a small smile. The 5 minutes ended. Commander Velshaw's voice came through the speaker. Squadron 9, enter the simulation chamber. The cubs stood up. They looked at each other and something passed between them. Understanding. Trust. They moved to the entrance of the simulation chamber. Day started to follow, but Velshaw's voice stopped him. Quan Day, you must observe from the control room. No outside assistance allowed, but no exceptions. Day's heart sank. He would have to watch from behind glass while the cubs faced the hardest test of their lives. As Squadron 9 entered the chamber, Kerr turned back one last time. We will make you proud, teacher. The door sealed shut. Day ran to the observation room. The Admiral stood at the center, arms crossed. Gralnak stood beside him, looking confident. Commander Velshaw looked worried. Other station instructors had gathered to watch. The simulation loaded. The cubs appeared in a virtual environment, a hostile planet rocky and cold. In the distance, a crashed ship, civilians trapped inside. But between the cubs and the ship were enemy combatants, virtual enemies, but the simulation made them seem real. The mission parameters appeared on screen. Rescue civilians. Neutralize enemies. Time limit 30 minutes. Failure conditions. Any civilian casualty, or more than 2 cub casualties. This is the Stormwolf scenario. One instructor whispered. Senior cadets fail this 40% of the time. Gralnak smiled. Inside the simulation, Squadron 9 stood frozen for a moment. Day could see their fear even through the screen. His hands pressed against the glass. Then Kerr took a breath. He looked at his team. Remember what teacher said. We are a pack. We do this together. And they began to move. Day watched as his cubs, his pack, faced the greatest challenge of their young lives. He could not help them now, could not advise them, could not tell them they were making mistakes or praise them when they did well. All he could do was watch and believe in them. The Admiral watched too, his expression unreadable. Next to him, Instructor Gralnak's confident smile began to fade as the simulation progressed. Because Squadron 9 was not failing, they were adapting. They were working together in ways the Admiral had never seen before. And in that moment, Day realized something important. The test was not just for the cubs. It was for him too. To see if he had taught them well enough to succeed without him, to see if they had truly become a pack. 3 weeks passed like water flowing downhill, fast and unstoppable. Day changed everything about how Squadron 9 trained. He threw away the standard curriculum, the military lessons about rank and order and following commands without question. Instead, he built something new. Every morning started with what he called circle time. The cubs sat together in a circle, and each one shared something. A worry, a success, something they missed from home. At first, they thought it was stupid. Kerr refused to participate for 3 days, but slowly they began to talk. They began to listen. Day learned that Pola could not sleep well because she felt everyone's nightmares in the sleeping quarters. So he worked with station maintenance, his old job, to give her a quieter room. Thrum was always hungry because the station's food came in small portions meant for faster metabolisms. Day arranged for him to get larger servings. Bix, the small green cub who feared loud noises, got warning signals before alarm drills. Small things. But they mattered. The cubs noticed. They noticed that Day listened. They noticed that he followed through on his promises. They noticed that he never left anyone behind. Training changed too. Day did not have military experience, so he used what he knew: team building, problem solving, communication exercises. He paired cubs who were different and made them work together. Kir and Paula, Thrum and the Kalen twins, species who would never naturally cooperate. At first, it was a disaster. Arguments broke out daily. Kir tried to dominate every exercise. The twins played pranks instead of working. Thrum moved so slowly that others got frustrated. But Day never gave up on them. When Kir got angry, Day sat with him and talked about what anger really meant. Fear, usually. Fear of failure. Fear of not being good enough. When the twins got bored, he gave them harder problems. When Thrum felt ignored, Day made everyone stop and wait for him to finish speaking. On Earth, Day told them one day, we have a saying: slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Rushing makes mistakes. Patience makes success. Gradually, something began to change. The cubs started to see each other differently. Kir realized that Paula's empathy could sense danger before anyone else. Paula learned that Kir's aggression was actually protectiveness. The twins discovered that Thrum's slow thinking caught problems they missed. Thrum found that the twins' quick minds could explain his ideas to others. They were becoming a pack. Dee introduced human concepts that the Galactic Federation did not use. Battle buddies. Each cub was paired with another and made responsible for them. You check on your battle buddy every day. You know when they are struggling. You help them before they fall. He taught them about shared meals. On Earth, families ate together. It built bonds. So Squadron 9 started eating together, and Day ate with them. They shared food from their homeworlds. They told stories. They laughed. He taught them Earth songs. Simple ones with easy words. The cubs liked the rhythm. They started humming the tunes during training. It helped them move together, stay in sync. Most importantly, Day taught them the human concept that made other species nervous. Leave no one behind. Never. Not in training, not in simulations, not ever. The team succeeds together or fails together. But that is not efficient, Kir said one day. If one cub is injured in combat, the whole team should not risk themselves. That is what most species think, Day said. But humans learned something long ago. When you know, truly know that your team will come back for you, you fight harder. You think clearer. You take smarter risks because you trust your pack. Fear of abandonment makes soldiers freeze. Trust makes them strong. By week 3, Squadron 9 was different. They moved like water, flowing around each other naturally. When one struggled, others stepped in without being asked. When danger appeared in simulations, they protected each other instinctively. Their test scores improved dramatically. Not just individually, but their team synchronization scores were higher than any cub unit in station history. Commander Velshaw watched the changes with amazement, but not everyone was impressed. Instructor Gralnak visited again at the end of 3 weeks. He watched Squadron 9 run through a simulation. They completed it successfully, but not the way military doctrine taught. When one cub got trapped, 3 others broke formation to rescue them. When they encountered enemies, they did not attack aggressively. They defended, protected, and only fought when necessary. After the simulation, Gralnak approached Dai. They passed, but their methods are wrong. They break formation. They prioritize feelings over efficiency. They waste resources protecting the weak. They prioritize each other, Day corrected, and none of them are weak. They just have different strengths. This is not how the Galactic Fleet operates. Maybe it should be. Gralnak's eyes darkened. You are corrupting these cubs with human emotions, making them soft. When they face real combat, these feelings will get them killed. With respect, sir, humans have survived everything our planet threw at us because of these feelings. We did not have claws or armor or poison. We had each other. That was enough. I am reporting this to Admiral Vrikstar. He is conducting station inspections next month. When he sees what you have done, he will shut this down. After Gralnak left, Paula approached Day. Her large eyes were worried. Is it true? Will the Admiral stop our training? The other cubs gathered around, concern on their different faces. Day knelt down so he was at their level. I do not know what the Admiral will think, But I know this. You 12 have worked harder than anyone gave you credit for. You have learned to trust each other. You have become a real team. No one can take that away from you. What if they separate us? Ren asked quietly. Then we deal with that when it happens. But right now, today, we keep training. We keep getting better. We show everyone what Squadron 9 can really do. Kerr stepped forward. You said humans do not leave pack members behind. That is right. Are you our pack now? Dave felt something tight in his chest. He thought about his younger brother, about the guilt he carried, about the family he lost. He looked at these 12 young aliens who had somehow wormed their way into his heart. Yes, he said quietly. I am your pack, and you are mine. That night, Day could not sleep. He kept thinking about the Admiral's inspection. Would Vrixtar understand what he was trying to do? Would he see that these cubs were not just soldiers in training, but people who needed connection before they could have discipline? Or would he see what Gralnak saw? Weakness. Emotions. Inefficiency. Day got up and went to the training bay. He was surprised to find he was not alone. All 12 cubs were there, practicing formations in the dark. What are you doing? Day asked. Kerr turned to him. We heard Instructor Gralnak's threat. We are practicing. When the Admiral comes, we will show him what we can do. We will not let him take you away from us. Or separate us, Paula added. Because we are a pack, Thrum said slowly. And packs stay together. Day felt tears in his eyes. He wiped them away quickly, but not before Paula sensed his emotions. You are sad and happy at the same time, she said, confused. It is a human thing, Day said, his voice rough. We cry when we are happy sometimes. It is complicated. The Kalen twins grinned. Humans are strange. Yes, Day agreed. We really are. He joined them in the training bay, and together, under the artificial stars of the station, 1 human and 12 alien cubs prepared for the test that would change everything. The first morning as cultural liaison, Day woke up at 5 in the morning. His small quarters felt even smaller now that he knew what was waiting for him. 12 young aliens who had defeated 7 trained instructors, and him, a maintenance worker who still thought of himself as someone who fixed broken pipes. He arrived at the training bay at 6. The cubs were already there, standing in a loose formation. They watched him enter with curious eyes. Kerr, the red-scaled reptilian, stood at the front. Next to him was a small creature covered in soft purple fur with large, dark eyes. Her name tag said Paula. Good morning, Day said. His voice sounded too quiet in the large room. You came back, Kerr said. He sounded surprised. I said I would try, so I'm trying. Behind Kerr, 2 identical aliens with blue skin and 4 arms whispered to each other. The Kalan twins, Yix and Yax, they were known for their pranks. Next to them stood Thrum, a massive gray creature who moved slowly and spoke even slower. His species, the Granite Dwellers, thought in different timescales than most others. Day had read their files last night. All 12 cubs. Their species, their homeworlds, their test scores. They were all brilliant. Every single one. Top marks in intelligence tests, problem-solving, creativity. But their cooperation scores were terrible. They could not work together. They did not trust anyone. I am not a military instructor, Day said. I do not know how to teach you to be soldiers. But Commander Velshaw thinks maybe you need something different. So I want to try something. What thing? Paula asked. Her voice was soft, musical. I want to understand you first. Each of you. Not as cadets or students, as people. As cubs, Kerr's eyes narrowed. Why? Because my brother taught me something before he died. He taught me that you cannot lead people you do not know. You cannot ask for trust if you do not give it first. The cubs looked at each other. Some seemed interested. Others seemed suspicious. Yix, one of the twins, spoke up. What do you want to know? Everything. Your names, your homes, what you miss, what you fear, what makes you happy. I want to know who you are when you are not trying to scare away instructors. For the next 3 hours, Day sat with them. Not standing like an instructor, but sitting on the floor. He asked questions. He listened to answers. He learned that Kerr was the youngest son of a warrior clan and felt he had to prove himself. He learned that Paula could feel emotions from other beings, which made crowded places painful. He learned that Thrum was always interrupted because his species spoke slowly, so he had stopped trying to speak at all. The Kalan twins, Yix and Yax, pulled pranks because they were bored. The other instructor's lessons were too simple. A small green creature named Bix was afraid of loud noises. A tall, thin alien named Ren worried constantly about her sick parent back home. By noon, Day knew things about Squadron 9 that had never been in any file. But knowing was only the first step. Now he had to figure out how to help them work together. The next day, Senior Instructor Gralnak visited the training bay. He was from a warrior species, tall and covered in natural armor. His career in the Galactic Fleet spanned 40 years. He looked at Day sitting on the floor with the cubs and made a disgusted sound. "This is training?" Gralnak said. "Where is the discipline? Where is the order?" Day stood up. "We are building trust first." "Trust?" Gralnak laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "Cubs do not need trust. They need structure. They need consequences. They need to learn that the military does not care about their feelings. With respect, sir, they are children. They are future soldiers. They are children who will become soldiers." "There is a difference." Gralnak stepped closer. He was twice Day's size. "You humans are soft. You coddle weakness. In my training programs, cubs learn through challenge, through failure, through pain. That is how warriors are made." Kerr stood up from where he sat. His scales seemed to darken. "We have had instructors like you. 5 of them. They did not last." Gralnak turned his attention to Kerr. "Is that a threat, cub?" "It is a fact." The tension in the room grew thick. Day could feel it. He stepped between Gralnak and Kerr, though he felt very small doing it. "Instructor Gralnak, I respect your experience, but Commander Velshaw gave me permission to try a different way. Please give me time." Gralnak stared at Day for a long moment. Then he made that grinding laugh again. 3 weeks. I give you 3 weeks. When your methods fail, and they will fail, I will be here to fix the damage you cause." After Gralnak left, the cubs gathered around Day. Paula looked worried. "He is right, you know." The other instructors tried to be nice too. It did not work. "We are too different. We cannot work together." Day sat back down on the floor. The cubs sat with him, forming a loose circle. "On Earth," Day said, "there are animals called wolves. They live in groups called packs. The pack has wolves of different sizes, different strengths, different skills. But they work together because they have to. Alone, a wolf cannot hunt large prey. Alone, a wolf cannot defend territory. Alone, a wolf dies. Together, they are strong." "We are not wolves," Kerr said. "No, you are not. You are 12 different species from 12 different worlds. But you are all here, far from home, trying to survive in a place that does not understand you. That makes you a pack whether you want to be or not." Thrum spoke then, his voice slow and deep. "What does a pack need?" Day thought about that. "A pack needs trust. They need to know that when things get dangerous, no one will be left behind. They need to know that their packmates will protect them, will listen to them, will see them." "And how do we build that?" Ren asked. "Together, starting now." For the rest of that day, Day created new exercises. Not military drills, but games. Games that required cubs to rely on each other. Games where Paula's empathy became a strength, not a weakness. Games where Thrum's slow, careful thinking was an advantage, not a disadvantage. Games where the Kalan twins' creativity solved problems instead of causing them. By evening, Squadron 9 was exhausted. But for the first time, they were exhausted together. As they left for their sleeping quarters, Kerr stopped at the door. "Quan Day," he said, "we will try your way. But if it does not work, we will go back to scaring away instructors." Day smiled. "That is fair." That night, Day sat in his quarters writing a report for Commander Velshaw. He was not sure if his methods would work. He was not sure if 3 weeks was enough time. But he knew one thing for certain. These cubs needed to be seen as more than problems. They needed to be seen as people. And if no one else would do it, he would. Quan Day wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the broken cooling unit. The metal was old, maybe 50 years past its replacement date. But that was how things worked on Training Station Omega-7. Everything was old, everything was broken, and everything was his problem to fix. He was 28 years old and had spent the last 2 years fixing things on this station. Pipes, doors, lights, air systems, anything that stopped working, they called him. It was good work. The pay was decent. He could send money home to Earth to his parents. That was all that mattered. Day heard shouting from down the corridor. Young voices, high-pitched and angry. He recognized the sound. Squadron 9 was having another bad day. They always had bad days. The station crew called them the Impossible Squad. 12 young aliens, all different species, all impossible to control. This was their 7th instructor in 2 months. Day had seen them all come and go. The first one quit after 3 days. The second one lasted a week. The others did not do much better. These young aliens, these cubs as the Galactic Federation called them, were smart. Too smart. They knew every trick, every weakness, every way to make an instructor give up. Day picked up his tools and walked toward the noise. The training bay door was closed, locked from the inside. Through the small window he could see the cubs. 12 of them, all different sizes and shapes. Some had scales, some had fur, some had hard shells. They were building a barricade with training equipment. Commander Velshaw stood outside the door. She was tall, blue-skinned, with forearms that moved in frustration. Her species, the Anthari, were known for their patience. But even her patience had limits. They locked the new instructor in the supply closet, she said when she saw Day. They have been in there for 3 hours. Nothing I say makes them come out. Day looked through the window again. The cubs were not causing damage. They were just sitting behind their barricade, waiting. One of them, a reptilian with red scales, was clearly the leader. He sat at the front, arms crossed, looking proud. "Do you want me to override the lock?" Day asked. "No," Velsha said. She sounded tired. "If we force the door, they will just do this again tomorrow. We need them to come out on their own." Day thought about that. He thought about his own childhood, about his younger brother and sister. They had been difficult too sometimes. Not like this, but difficult. His mother always said the same thing. Children act out when they feel unheard. Can I try talking to them? Day asked. Velshaw looked at him with her large silver eyes. You are a maintenance technician. Yes, but I have younger siblings back on Earth. Maybe they will listen to someone who is not trying to be their instructor. The commander was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Try. We have nothing to lose. Day walked to the door and knocked gently. The cubs inside went silent. The reptilian one, the leader, stared at the door. Hello, Day said in Galactic Common. My name is Quan Day. I am the person who fixes things on this station. I am not an instructor. I just want to talk. No response. I know you have had many instructors, Day continued. 7 in 2 months. That must be exhausting. Meeting new people, learning their rules, watching them leave. That sounds hard. Still silence, but the reptilian one tilted his head slightly. When I was young, I had a brother. Day said. He was difficult. Always breaking rules, always causing problems. My parents thought he was bad. But he was not bad. He was just lonely. He wanted someone to notice him, to really see him, so he acted out. One of the cubs, a small insect-like creature, moved closer to the door. I think maybe you are not bad either. Day said. I think maybe you are tired of instructors who see you as problems to solve. You want someone who sees you as people, as cubs who are far from home, trying to learn in a place that does not always make sense. The reptilian leader stood up. He walked to the door and pressed a button. The lock clicked open. The door slid aside. 12 pairs of eyes stared at Day. Some were large, some were small. Some glowed, some were dark. But all of them looked tired. You understand, the reptilian said in rough Galactic Common. His name tag said Cure. I try to, Day said. Will you come out now? The commander is worried. Kerr looked back at the other cubs. They looked at each other, communicating in ways Day did not fully understand. Finally, Kerr nodded. We come out. But we do not want another instructor like the others. I cannot promise anything about your next instructor, Day said honestly, but I can promise that someone is listening now. The cubs filed out slowly. Commander Velshaw watched in shock as they walked past her calmly, heading back toward their sleeping quarters. Kerr was the last to leave. He stopped in front of Day. You have brothers and sisters? Kerr asked. Had, Day said quietly. My brother died in an accident 2 years ago. Kerr's eyes softened. Even across species, some emotions were universal. I am sorry, Kerr said. Then he walked away with the others. Commander Velshaw stood next to Day, all 4 of her arms hanging loose in surprise. How did you do that? I just talked to them like they were people, not problems. The commander was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that would change Day's life. One day, how would you like a new job? I need someone to work with Squadron 9, not as an instructor officially, as a cultural liaison. You would help them adjust, help them understand the training. We would pay you more. Day thought about the offer. He thought about his toolbox, his simple life, his quiet work. Then he thought about 12 tired young aliens who just wanted someone to see them as more than problems. I will try, he said. But I am not a soldier. I do not know military training. Neither do they, Velshaw said. Maybe that is exactly what they need. And so, without meaning to, without training or preparation, Kwande became responsible for the most difficult squadron on training station Omega-7. He did not know it yet, but this decision would echo across the entire Galactic Federation. All because 12 cubs were tired of being invisible and one human knew how to see them. Inside the simulation, Squadron 9 moved forward carefully. The virtual environment was harsh. Cold wind whipped across rocky terrain. In the distance, the crashed ship leaked smoke. Civilian life signs showed on their displays. But between them and rescue stood enemy combatants. From the observation room, Day watched with his heart in his throat. The Admiral stood silent beside him. Grelnak watched with narrowed eyes. Kerr took point, his natural aggression useful now. But he did not charge ahead like he would have months ago. He stopped, looked back at his team, waited for them to be ready. Paula closed her eyes. Her empathic senses reached out, feeling for danger. 5 enemies ahead, hidden behind rocks. 3 more to the left. Throom, Kerr said.
Can you draw their attention?
The large gray cub nodded slowly. He picked up a boulder that would have been too heavy for most species. He threw it far to the right. The crash echoed across the simulation. Several enemies turned toward the sound. While they were distracted, Yix and Yox moved like shadows. The twins were small and fast. They flanked around the enemy position, using their natural agility. They did not attack. Instead, they signaled positions back to the team. This was not standard military doctrine. The fleet taught direct assault, overwhelming force. But Squadron 9 was doing something different. They were using each member's natural abilities. They were adapting. They are coordinating without command structure, one instructor whispered in the observation room. How is that possible? Day wanted to explain. They did not need rigid command structure because they trusted each other. Each cub knew their role. Each cub knew the others would support them. That was what PAC meant. Squadron 9 moved forward. When enemies appeared, they did not try to eliminate all of them. They created distractions, used cover, and protected each other. Bix, the small green cub who feared loud noises, actually volunteered to set off an explosive as a diversion. Because she knew her team would protect her afterward. Throom took hits meant for smaller cubs. His thick skin could absorb damage they could not. Paula warned of ambushes before they happened. Kerr drew enemy attention so others could advance safely. They reached the crashed ship with 18 minutes remaining. But here the real challenge began. The ship's hull was damaged. Civilians were trapped inside, injured and frightened, and enemy reinforcements were coming. Standard protocol is to establish a defensive perimeter, Grelnak said from the observation room. But they do not have enough cubs for that. They will fail here. Day said nothing. He watched. Inside the simulation, Squadron 9 made a choice that made every instructor in the observation room inhale sharply. They split up. Kerr, Throom, and 4 others established a loose defensive position. But Paula, the twins, and 3 others entered the damaged ship to evacuate civilians. They divided their forces, an instructor said. That is a mistake, but it was not a mistake. It was trust. The defenders trusted the rescue team to work quickly. The rescue team trusted the defenders to hold the line. Paula used her empathy to calm the terrified civilians. The twins used their forearms to carry injured people who could not walk. Another cub, Ren, used her species' natural healing abilities to stabilize the worst injuries. Outside, enemies attacked the defensive position. Kerr fought like his warrior ancestors, but he did not fight alone. Throom stood like a wall beside him. The other cubs covered each other, called out warnings, shared ammunition. When one cub took heavy damage and fell, 2 others immediately pulled him to safety. They did not leave him, even though staying to help meant putting themselves in danger. Even though mission efficiency said to leave him, leave no one behind. They are wasting resources on a downed teammate, Grelnak said, but his voice had less certainty now. The rescue team emerged from the ship with all civilians, injured, frightened, but alive. Now came the hardest part. Getting back to the extraction point with enemies closing in. Squadron 9 had a choice: move fast and leave their injured teammate behind, or move slow and risk failure. They chose slow. Throom picked up the injured cub gently. The team formed a protective formation around the civilians and their wounded packmate. They moved together, covering each other, fighting when necessary, avoiding combat when possible. The enemy reinforcements closed in. Time was running out. They still had 200 meters to the extraction point. The cubs were exhausted. Some were injured. The civilians were slowing them down. In the observation room, several instructors shook their heads. They will not make it. Day pressed his hands against the glass. Come on, he whispered. You can do this. With 5 minutes remaining, Squadron 9 was still 50 meters from extraction. Enemies surrounded them on 3 sides. It looked impossible. Then Yix had an idea. He spoke quickly to his twin. Yox grinned. Together, they explained their plan to Kerr. The reptilian cub's eyes widened. Then he nodded. The twins ran ahead, making themselves obvious targets. Enemies chased them. While distracted, the rest of Squadron 9 used a different path, moving through terrain the enemies had not covered. It was risky. The twins were alone, leading enemies away from the group. If they got caught, they would fail the scenario. But they were fast, and more importantly, they trusted their team to be there when needed. With 2 minutes remaining, Squadron 9 reached the extraction point. All civilians safe. All cubs accounted for except the twins. They lost 2 team members, Gralnak said. Mission failure. Then, with 30 seconds left, 2 small figures appeared on the horizon, running at full speed, enemies right behind them. The rest of Squadron 9 did not board the extraction vehicle. They waited. Kerr stood at the front watching his packmates run. Come on, he growled. Come on, 15 seconds. The twins were close, but not close enough. Enemies were right behind them. Throom made a decision. He stepped out from cover and threw another boulder. Not at the enemies. Between them and the twins. The impact created a dust cloud. Confusion. Just enough. 5 seconds. Yix and Yox dove into the extraction zone. Kerr grabbed them and pulled them aboard. The scenario ended with 2 seconds to spare. Complete success. All civilians rescued. All cubs alive. Mission accomplished. The observation room was silent. Every instructor stared at the screen showing Squadron 9's success statistics. Perfect coordination score. 0 casualties. Creative tactical solutions. Admiral Vrikstar turned to Gralnak. You said they would fail. They should have failed. This scenario has a 40% failure rate for senior cadets. But they did not fail. Why? Gralnak had no answer. The Admiral walked to where Day stood. Explain what I just witnessed. Day took a breath. Sir, they succeeded because they care about each other. They trust each other. They know that no one will be left behind. That knowledge makes them brave. It makes them think clearly under pressure. It makes them a real team. This is not standard military doctrine. No, sir. It is a human concept. We call it pack bonding. Humans do it naturally. We extend our family bonds to people who are not blood-related, even to other species. I just taught the cubs what humans have always known, that the strongest teams are not the ones with the best individual soldiers. They are the ones who refuse to let each other fail. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke into the communication system. Squadron 9, exit the simulation chamber and report to the observation room. Minutes later, 12 exhausted cubs entered. They were dirty from the virtual combat. Some were limping, but they stood together, supporting each other. The Admiral looked at them with his dark, calculating eyes. Then he asked the question that would become famous across the Galactic Federation. Who leads this squadron of cubs? For a moment, no one answered. Then as one, all 12 cubs pointed at Quandé. Not at Kerr, the natural leader during combat. Not at Paula, whose empathy guided them. Not at any cub. They pointed at the human standing behind glass in the observation room. The Admiral looked at Day. Come here. Day entered the simulation chamber. The cubs immediately surrounded him. Paula hugged his leg. Kerr stood close, protective. The twins grinned tiredly. Throom placed one massive hand gently on Day's shoulder. Why do they point to you? The Admiral asked. You were not in the simulation. You gave no orders. You provided no tactical advice during their mission. Day looked at his cubs, his pack. Because I taught them that leadership is not about giving orders, sir. It is about making people feel safe enough to be brave. These cubs do not follow me because I command them. They follow me because they know I will never abandon them, and they know I believe in them even when they do not believe in themselves. The Admiral stared at Day for a very long time. Then he turned to Commander Velshaw. How many other Cub squadrons are on this station? 15, sir. How many have perfect mission scores like Squadron 9? None, sir. The Admiral looked at Instructor Grelnak. You said the humans' methods would fail. They did not fail. They exceeded every expectation. Do you have an explanation? Grelnak's voice was stiff. No, sir. Admiral Vrikstar walked around Squadron 9, examining them closely. Then he did something no one expected. He knelt down to be at their level. You cubs did well today, better than many soldiers I have commanded. You showed courage, intelligence, and loyalty. Those are the qualities the Galactic Fleet needs. He stood and looked at Day. This human has taught you something valuable.